From the Empire State to the Golden Gates, this is Quad Radio USA.
Cool. Oh, yeah.
Now, with all the dirt from the world of ATV motocross and GNCC racing, here's Mr. 10 Seconds, Rodney Tomlin.
And a good evening, everyone, as we welcome you here to Quad Radio USA, or let's say, as we deemed it, I believe, there last week or a week or so ago, Quad Radio International, Quad Radio Global, Quad Radio Intergalactic. Yeah, somebody said there's some aliens out there listening someplace. I think that might have been Johnny Gallagher, but good evening anyway, and welcome to our first Wednesday in September. It is September 5th, 2012, and we are in the midst of silly season as far as the ATV motocross racing world is concerned, and also starting to kick up in the GNCC racing world, but we're only a week or so away from getting things underway there, so we'll be heading back to Unadilla Valley Sports Center for, I believe this will be like our 6th or 7th year up there, but regardless of how many it is, it's going to be one of the bigger ones as far as bike turnout, as it always has been. Be my third trip there this year. I went there for the ATV National Motocross. I went there for the two-wheel motocross. I'll be going there for the GNCC in a little over a week. And one of the guys that I've got on the phone here tonight, one Cody Gibson, actually spent a little time there with me in July as well. We'll talk a little bit about that and so much more coming up in the next hour or so of Quad Radio and Quad Radio Live. Of course, we may also have a special guest with not only Cody the Kid, but Kid Dynamite, the number 88 of Joel Hendrick, also may be stepping in and talking with us. We had a little chat with him there a little bit ago, and he said he was going to give it a try to stop by. He had some things going on this evening, but regardless, speaking of things going on, let's see what we do have going on in and around the world right now. I know that we've got banquets. If you have not registered for the banquets, I know GNCC banquet information should be available for you on gnccracing.com. As well, you should be able to find on atvmotocross.com all your information about the upcoming banquet that's going to be taking place. If I'm not mistaken, that should be Saturday, November 24th, the Saturday after Thanksgiving there. And that's going to be at the Waterfront Place Hotel, beautiful and magnificent Waterfront Place Hotel in Morgantown, West Virginia, just off the West Virginia University campus. I'm telling you, folks, you are in store for a great treat there. I know we had the opportunity to do it there last year with the GNCC crowd, and they really like what they had going on there. So hopefully the ATV motocrossers will like that as well. It seems to be a little more centrally located for the brunt of those that participate in all the award or in the championship rounds. So that is a big reason for moving that up north as well, and hopefully that will entail some pretty cool things. I know also, I'll let you know more about it as soon as I find out, but we're talking with a gentleman. He was toying with the idea of an ATV indoor motocross, an arena cross race in Huntington, West Virginia, which is a pretty big venue. It always sells out for the two wheels, and he's talking about that same weekend, which would probably translate into a Friday in Huntington, West Virginia, a couple-hour drive north on Saturday to the banquet there in Morgantown. So it might work out pretty good. We'll definitely let you know more about that soon as we know more about it, and hopefully it is all a plus and a positive, that is for sure. I want to say welcome out on behalf of our friends tonight at, of course, Impact Solutions ATV. And the Impact Solutions ATV folks located at 985 Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia over there. ImpactSolutionsATV.com is your provider for ELCA Authorized Service Center suspension work. That's where you want to go for all that good stuff. And you can give them a call up, or you can actually check into quadradio.com there on the World Wide Web on the side there on the banners. You can click there and it'll take you right to their website, get you all the information that you're going to need as far as getting in touch and in tune with those folks there at Impact Solutions ATV. And with that being said, we say good evening, and hopefully he hasn't hung up on me here this evening. And Cody the Kid, Cody Gibson, and a AMA Pro AM Unlimited, and also not only Unlimited ATV but also production champion. Good evening and welcome, Cody Gibson, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on here.
Hey, man, not a problem. I know I've got you booming in right now, so stand by while I try to get a little bit of volume and little levels mixed in there. But, man, good to have you along here. I know that you've been a rather busy individual all year long in 2012. It's been a busy year for you, not only from a racing standpoint, but just from life in general. And we'll hopefully have a chance to break that all down. So,
yeah, I mean, we got all the time in the world.
That's great, man. So, with that being said, let me ask you if you can hang on for just a second. I'm going to switch a chord here because for some reason this one isn't seeming to be working so nicely and so well for me. So I'll go over here now. Cody, can you hear me over here on this channel?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, now we gotta get him tuned in so we can hear him. But, all right, Cody, I think we got you a little louder and prouder and a little cleaner right there. But what's going on, man? I know down in Eaglewood, Tennessee, somewhere in Tennessee is where you're from, right?
Yeah, I'm from Englewood. I just got back in from work, and my girlfriend, Lindsay, she just got up here a little bit ago. She's outside. One of my dogs actually had surgery today. She went out and she's taking care of it.
Wow, what happened to your dog that it needed surgery?
It just got spayed. I got a bunch of dogs. She works at a vet clinic, and so every time one comes in down there, somehow I end up with it. But I got a big tit, so they had a little tit come in down there, and I got it, and we had to get it spayed, so we ain't no puppies down there.
Yeah, definitely don't want any unwanted pups or anything like that. So that's a good idea, man. So all is well in Cody Gibson land, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's awesome, man.
That's great. I know, well, shoot, man, we haven't seen you since August, I guess, which you weren't too far from home. How far is your residence there from Loretta Lynn's ranch itself?
I think I'm about three and a half hours from here to there.
Now, are you west or east of Hurricane Mills?
I am, like, east,
East?
I guess.
Yeah, over towards the Nashville, on the other side of Nashville, towards Knoxville and all that?
Yeah, I'm right in between Knoxville and Chattanooga.
Okay, all right, getting a pretty good. Now, how's a little country boy, Tennessee boy like you get into ATV racing, man?
My mom and dad, they always rode when I was younger, and, you know, I've been riding ever since I can remember, just never really on a motocross track. And then I think when I was 14 or 15, I had a real bad wreck. We was all down at one of my buddies' house, and I had a Z400, and he lives right on, like, a main highway. And I went out there, and I was going to, I guess, try to jump that highway, and I hit it, and I don't know, pretty much, I didn't jump it, I did a front flip over it.
Oh,
and the
man.
bike landed on me, and it crushed my pelvis, and I don't know, it broke a bunch of stuff in my lower back. And I guess I had a bunch of time to think. I was in ICU for a long time, been in a regular hospital for a while. Then I decided I wanted to do. I mean, I always liked jumping and stuff, but I figured I'd go somewhere where jumps were meant to be jumps. So once I got better, I started racing, you know, like at a local race.
Wow. So had you even been racing at this point again? Now I kind of missed that. Were you racing whenever you crashed this Z400 you were talking about?
No, I never rode on a motocross track in my life. I don't know. You know, laying in a hospital bed, we just kind of, my mom, she was trying to make me feel good as I could, you know, so she went and got me a bunch of magazines and four-wheeler magazines, and then I decided I wanted to race motocross.
Is that right, man? I mean, you would almost think that an incident like that would, you'd be like, well, I don't ever want to throw my leg over a motocross, an ATV ever again, man. I don't ever want to see a quad, man. Get that thing away from me.
Well, I mean, I guess you'd look at it like that, but I kind of, what happened, you know, I knew what I did, you know, it wasn't like, can't really explain it, but it wasn't me riding, it just, I shouldn't have been trying to jump that in the first place, and like I said, I figured I'd go somewhere where jumps were actually meant to be jumped in a little bit safer fashion, not jumping over the road. It's really a good thing I didn't get hit by a car when I was flying off there.
Yeah, it was a pretty crazy thing. It sounds like that you did there, man. So I'm glad that you lived through it, and that that you actually got a passion for ATV. Now tell me something. Whenever you were looking through those magazines, what were some of the first things that you noticed? Some of the first people that you read about?
I think Doug Gus. I think he was, like my local shop. They always had pictures of him and stuff up in those magazines. Like when I opened those up, he was all over the place. He was always like, I really didn't know many other people. John Natale, I think, was in there. I have a horrible memory, but I think those were like the two main ones at the time. Like I said, that was back in, I guess, '06 maybe, '05.
Wow. So how old are you now? You're like, what, 21, 22 years old?
Just turned 22 in July.
Man, so you've been in this, you literally took to this like a fish to water then. You were a constant threat right from the word go, it sounds like.
Yeah, actually come out, like I said, I got over the whole broken up stage there, and I went into local racing. I broke a couple bones that first year. I started out, of course, in the beginner class on that same Z400 that I tried to jump the road in. And, you should have seen this thing. It's not tracking on wheel spacers and nothing, but it was a four-wheeler with stock shocks, stock everything. It just had wheel spacers, the old, I ain't got nothing against redneck. You come from my house, I got big trucks on 44s and my everyday trucks jacked up. But, I just had the perfect redneck four-wheeler. We went up there. My mom and dad took me to race, and ever since I started, that first year I went from beginner class to the pro class at the local level, and I never really lost. I was always winning. I went from winning the beginner class, and then once I kind of learned how to jump pretty good, I moved up to the amateur class because they let you jump in it. And then a couple weeks later, I was in the pro class and winning. And then I think that the year after I ran locals, I didn't run like a full year of locals, but that next year I went to a couple of nationals. I think I ran Loretta's in B class. Yeah, I think it was just Loretta's that I ran in B class, and I think I won like 3 out of 4 motos in B class. I've never been to the national. I think Matt Brimmer was actually the guy that beat me that one race.
Wow.
And then, the next year I moved up to A, and it was me and Travis Moore, and I won 1A class. I won the overall in it. And at the end of that year, like that same A class year, I jumped up to Pro-Am. I did decent, but those guys were really fast, really, really fast. And then the year after that is when I went to Florida. Just, me and my dad, he took me down there to practice for 1 week. And I had, by this time, that's when the LTR had come out, and I had one of those. And my dad had a Yamaha YZ, which he didn't ride on the track or anything. He just had it.
Mm-hmm.
And I broke my Suzuki, and I was riding the Yamaha, and then I broke his Yamaha or something. We were close to Live Oak, where Mike Walsh is located at. And so we called Walsh Racecraft and went over there. That was the first time I've ever met Mike. I really didn't know. I didn't know Mike at all. I'd never seen him before. I'd heard of Walsh parts. I went over there, and I think I was buying a battery or something. And he was like, I'd like to come watch you ride. And then he came over at the back. They used to have a track there in Live Oak called Ant. And he came over there and watched me ride, and that's when he pretty much, he took me under his wing. And that next year is when everybody heard about who I really was. We come out, I'd either win or wreck. And then that's how I got to where I am now.
Yeah, that's one thing that you're known for is winning or wrecking. But this year, man, you rose above that better than anything I've ever seen. Pretty amazing stuff, to say the least. We'll get into that in a little bit, but right now, man, this is, we're talking 14. How old did you say whenever you had the accident on the road there where you jumped the road? You were 14, you said?
Yeah, I was either 14 or 15.
Okay.
I was right there in that age.
Wow. And then, after that accident, after that incident, how long was it before you hit four wheels on the racetrack?
I think, it was a little bit. It wasn't real long, but, it took me a long time to get back on my feet.
Right.
And then once I got back on my feet and started riding, I think after I started, because I'll go ahead and tell you, I guess it's just, off the subject, but man, I am a killer hill climber. Like, if they would make hill climbing for like a stock four-wheeler, I think I would be king at that. So we went back and I just did my thing at that until I got to where, I was feeling 100%. As soon as I got to 100%, that's on me. Like, I knew I was going to go race, but I didn't want to go try to race and re-break myself again.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So pretty quick. I mean, this is actually a pretty short-lived thing. And then, so you get known. Mike Walsh knows you. You come out, and you're the guy that you either win or crash, and you win some championships there in the Pro-Am class, if memory serves me correct, right?
Yeah, that first year, I mean, that's when, like I said, I was kind of a nobody, but Mike Walsh was helping me. I actually moved down there. I got homeschooled my senior year of high school. I missed all the graduating with my class. I moved down there because, it just didn't seem right. Like, even my mom and dad, I come from, never riding on a track till where people thought that I could win Pro-Am. Mike thought that I could win. So, my mom and dad was like, you need to take the opportunity. You might be able to do this for a living one day. And so I did it. I moved down there, and that's what I was going to say. At the first of that year, I won the first moto that Mike Walsh was behind me. We went to Pell City, Alabama. I won the first moto. It was a qualifier. He was actually helping Chris Bowen at the time. I'm sure people that are listening, they know Chris Bowen. He used to race. He won his qualifying. It was kind of, he was Blue Rock Walsh, and I was full Walsh, so we had a little competition thing going on. And we come out in the main, and that's what caused, at the first of that year, after that first year, everybody hated me because that main event on Saturday, I come out the whole shot, I weighed about 85 pounds, I think. I was tiny. Come out of the start, I ripped out in front of everybody, and somehow or another that bike come up on a wheelie, and I rode it all the way to the top of the hill, and when I go to set it down, there was somebody up, and I think I wrecked over half the field of Pro-Am.
Wow.
Took them all out.
Wow.
And then after that, nobody really liked me. It took them a while to get used to me being there, I guess.
You were a wild card, so to speak, I guess, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we went to Bill Balance's track that year. And, I went out there, and I think I got into it with somebody. We ran into each other. And as soon as I come off the track, the officials were over there. We got protested for our motor. Then they told me if the officials, just AMA, come up, told my parents if I was to get close to anybody else the rest of that year, I couldn't run the Nationals.
Wow.
So I had to try my best to tone it down. But, it was one of those things. I never actually tried to wreck anybody.
Right.
I was just, I wanted to win. I was going way too fast. I was way too little. But, it's just, that's the way you got to be, I guess. I either wanted to win or wreck trying to win.
Yeah. Yeah. Checkers or wreckers, huh?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. I mean, you can look at that year. There wasn't too many second or thirds. There was either a first or a dead last.
Wow.
And it was about even on both of them because I definitely didn't win them all.
Wow. Now, the way it seems right now, Cody, you have a lot of respect, and a lot of these people like you around the pits. I mean, it doesn't seem like you're that outcast that you were at one time.
No, and I mean, even then, all the fans like me. I mean, as bad as they like to see a good wreck. And I used to do a lot of that. I mean, I've always been, I've always had a good personality, and I try to keep it that way. I really, even if I wreck and get that rise, it really don't bother me. I've just never been one of them people. I'm not a sore loser. I don't really care to lose. But luckily, all the years that I've raced, I've really not had to lose that much until the year that I moved up to pro and got hurt. And that was a rough year for me. I ain't gonna lie to that. Not saying losing sucks, but it wasn't me out there riding. That was not me. I got I broke my collarbone like 5 weeks before the first race, and then went to the first race really not even practiced, and then broke it again the first moto.
Wow. Yeah, I remember. I was standing right there, actually, up there near that first turn. I remember seeing that happen. That was not a pretty sight. I remember, man, and the look in your eye, it was one of frustration, desperation, and man, what just happened? I know that kind of sets you, like you said, man, it kind of sets you in a tailspin for that year, I guess, huh?
Yeah, it just wasn't, like everybody wanted to see me come out and do good. And, no matter what anybody says, I know for sure I would have did good. I can make myself go fast enough to run with the guys in the front. Like, I've just got that ability. I can always go faster if I have to. And, that year, there was just nothing I could do. I was in shape to run about 5 minutes, and then I was ready to fall off the other 15 plus 2.
That's one thing that seems to be the biggest obstacle for most of the Pro-Am riders moving up to the Pro class. You guys, whenever you raced, you were 10 plus 2. Now it's 15 plus 2. It's probably a little better for those guys, but doubling up on that was a pretty big step for you, I guess, huh?
Well, yeah, but it's like I said, I trained hard for that. If I would have just did what I do and not, like what happened, I hit a hay bale. Like literally it was right at a little less than 2 months before the first race. It was off camber turn. I was down there in Florida practicing with Josh Creamer. Team Suzuki was down there. And I was trying to go way too fast and flipped the hay bale and broke my collarbone. And literally it looked like I was growing 2 heads. Like I had this huge knot on my shoulder. And I went to the doctor and he was like, oh, yeah, it'll be fine. Just give it 6 weeks or whatever. So, I really didn't practice at all before that first race. I went out there and, it re-broke, of course. When we went to the doctor in Tennessee, they was like, yeah, that thing was never going to heal. So they went in and cut the whole bone out. I had surgery. Now I got a plate and like 8 screws in my shoulder.
Wow.
And then, I come back like 2 races later and tried to race the rest of that year, which really it was a dumb move for me. I should have just took the year off. But I had people behind me that was backing me and done spent a lot of money in the off season. So I went out there and did the best I could, which wasn't good at all. But, I had to do it. If it would have been up to me, I would have took off until I knew that I could win again.
Yeah.
But, it was just, that was one of those things. I just winged it and went out there.
Wow, man, that's pretty amazing, man. It took a lot of wind out of your sails. I know it almost kind of left a bad taste in your mouth for everything, I guess. Really, it seemed, or at least from the outside looking in, that's kind of like what we were, I think, getting the impression of. Is that what it was? Did you have a bad taste in your mouth after you left?
Oh, man, it wasn't. It ain't got nothing on anybody else. It was just me, I just, that year, it killed me. Like I said, I'm no sore loser by no means, but if you line up to the gate and know you can't win, you're never going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never had to do that until that year. And it wasn't because of my parts or anything like that. I'm not blaming anybody. It was completely me. It was my fault that I wrecked. But, that's just a rough feeling going out there. I knew for sure when I lined up that I couldn't win, and I knew that I couldn't run the time. And, it was dangerous being out there when you're so tired you can't even hang on, and you're just hoping you can finish the race.
Right, yeah, and that's kind of what I meant as far as whenever I said you had a bad taste in your mouth. You just kind of left the situation it was almost too like when you left, Cody, that you left some unanswered questions for yourself and everybody, man. Let's talk a little bit about it. After that year, obviously things didn't go well. If memory serves me correct, you were looking into actually racing in the 2011 season, and you just kind of threw your hands up in the air and said, I'm done. I got to go home. I've got a truck payment I got to make, and that's what I'm going to do. And you just went home and went to work.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I got an $816 truck payment, just my truck payment alone. And, it was just, pretty much, like, I was just barely making it. And, that next year, of course, which that's a given. Nobody really wanted to help out a whole lot. Obviously, I wasn't going to get paid a bunch of money to explore, especially after that year. I don't even know if I got in the top 10, even in one race. And, obviously nobody's going to help. But, I had to do what I had to do that year. And I just come home and got in the cell phone tower business. And, honestly, it's not a bad business to be in. Like, now I got it made in the tower business. I don't really have to climb or nothing anymore. I'm the foreman over what we do. Like, I do maintenance for AT&T.
Wow.
And, like, I go out there and figure out what's wrong on this little thing it's called an enritzer, and it sweeps the RF lines, like radio frequency.
Mm-hmm.
There's lines that go all over the tower, and water gets in them. And what I do, I go out there, they'll send me a ticket, or they send it to my email, and I just go out there, figure out what's wrong, and fix it, and then call the text and let them know. And, it's not a bad job at all. Pretty good money.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be, man. That sounds like a really good job, man. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I like it, and, in a way, yeah, it's like, I do like it a lot, and I make enough money to pay my truck payment, and, like, about 3 hours ago, I ordered me some new stuff for my truck. I like being able to do that, having a little bit extra money to do that.
Well, I guess the next question on anybody's mind is, if you've got this good a job, things are going so well, why would you even consider even coming back, man?
Because my goal, that's what you said before. It's like, what I wanted to do since I started racing the four-wheeler, I read about Doug Gus and John Natale. I would love to win a pro moto. Like, that would be a dream come true. Like this year, I'm sure you was going to get to it. But, like this year, I went down to Walsh and practiced for 3 weeks before, the first race. And then after that first race, I maybe rode once in between every race. But, the last 3, I didn't ride at all. Like, I just come to the race and raced. I was back at work on Monday.
Wow.
And, I think as fast as I was going this year, like, it's just a given. I do, like Mike, me and Mike's been talking about, I have the talent. Everybody, I hope, can see that. I've got the talent to do good. I've got the talent to win. I like to win. So, I could win. It's no guarantee. But my goal, I would like to win a pro moto. And in my heart, I know I can do it. I know if I could race next year, I could win. I ain't saying I could win every race or the championship. But my goal is to win a pro moto.
So if you win a pro moto, is that when it's over for you? Is that when you say I've accomplished everything that I need to accomplish here, and at that point you can move on? Or is it one of those things, once you win that pro moto, it's, okay, now I want to win a championship?
Well, of course, like, obviously if I can win one, I want to win a championship. But, the first goal, I would love to have that opportunity to at least try it one more time. I got one opportunity, and I blew it. That, like I said, that wasn't nobody's fault but mine. I completely blew that. But, I'd love to be back out there one more year and just, at least get one more shot at it.
Yeah. No doubt. That's man, I'm just blown away by the, this is pretty big stuff. To be honest with you, you yourself, are in such a great position. You've got, for a lack of better ways to say it, but you've got, life by the balls, man. You've got what you want. You've got talent. You've got, the only thing you don't have, I guess, is the resources to go out and race the way that you would like to race. I guess that's about the only thing you're missing right now, huh?
Well, it's not really that either. Like, we got people working on that. Andrew Volk, him and Michael Walsh, they're working together. They are trying to get me something right now. Like, they got stuff in the works, and I mean, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for one more year. Mike would like to see me do it. I'd definitely like to do it. I mean, obviously, that's what I was just saying, but
right now,
I mean, we just got to figure it out.
Right now, if you do get to that position, are you going to keep your job and do it just like you did the Pro-Am class this year?
No, I mean, there's just no way. I mean, in all reality, that's almost impossible.
Right.
I mean, I guess you obviously know what those guys go through, and if you don't work as hard as them, it's going to be even harder on me. So if we do it, like I said, if I do it, especially my mindset, if I'm going to race next year, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to put 110% into it. And when I show up to the first race, I want to make people watch.
I'm sure they will, man. I'm sure they will. Real quick, I just want to take a quick break here. I want to say thanks once again to our friends at Impact Solutions, your factory-authorized service center for Elko suspension, located at 985 Harris Highway there in Parkersburg, West Virginia. You can hit them up at impactssolutionsatv.com. I want to say thanks to those guys for the equipment that helps us make Quad Radio Live all possible. And see, man, even I need sponsors, and I even need help. So I know where you're coming from in that department as far as looking in that department. Now, I know I've kind of gotten a little ahead of myself here with what we're talking about, and I do want to kind of back up. A year ago, when we were at the banquet, man, I mean, it was pretty exciting stuff. I want to transition you back into the ATV motocross world because, I mean, in reality, we talked about you'd thrown your hands up and you were done. You had a big truck payment that you had to take care of, this, that, and the other, and you go away. There's a lot left on the table. And when did the talks actually begin with you and Mike? I know we saw you at the banquet, and whenever you were seen at the banquet, there were a lot of speculation. There were a lot of excitement in the air, and of course the rumors started flying. And I recall you, myself, and I believe Smitty were standing outside of a hotel room there at the Grand Resort Hotel, and you looked at me and you said that I can't say anything, but the only thing I say is if I ride again, the only person I'll ever ride for is Mike Walsh. And by golly, I mean, it was kept pretty tight there for a while, but that was a pretty good indication that you guys were on the right track for something. I mean, you guys had started laying some groundwork there at that point, I guess, or did it actually happen before that?
No, it didn't happen before that. I mean, that was just one of those things, I got lucky and that Walsh hybrid came out. When it came out, I guess the best person to ride it would have been me. So luckily I got put on it, and even though that came out, I still wasn't really planning on doing it. To be dead honest, me and my girlfriend, we got in a big fight. Around that same time, we got in a big old fight, and I was ready to beat her up. So instead of beating her up, I drove to Florida, and that was a joke, by the way. I wasn't really going to beat her up, but I just drove to Florida and took myself a little vacation. And it just happened to be, and I mean, I know it's hard to believe, but it wasn't planned at all. But it was an SSQSA race down there in Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I went down there, and Mike let me ride. He's got a high boost, a street bike, I went down and rode it around a little bit, just relieving stress pretty much. And he had that hybrid in there, had number 97 on it. It wasn't for me. It was just, it was a Walsh bike. And he was like, why don't you go there? And I hadn't rode a four-wheeler since Loretta's the year before that. I took that whole year off. I don't honestly own one four-wheeler except an 88 250R, and it's bone stock. That's what a hill climb on.
Wow.
I still ride that beast. But I went down there, and he said, let's go race, and we went down there, and I was hoping, in the back of my head, I was hoping nobody real fast would show up. And it just so happened Jeffrey Urselli and Mark Matto showed up. And, I was dreading it. I was like, they had just come off Pro-Am championships, both of them. One of them won unlimited, the other won production. And I went out there, and they got, on those SSQSA this year, they had 2 3-lap motos and then 1 10-lap moto.
Wow.
And, I was pretty sure that I could, 'cause I was riding pretty good.
Uh-huh.
Like, I practiced whenever we was done at that race. I had like a 5 or 10 lap practice or something. Went down there practice, I felt good. Like, it's almost like I never even got off the bike. Like, I was flying. Went out for the first moto, and I pulled the start, and, man, my adrenaline was going. And there was like 3 turns and then a loop section. And, like I said, I hadn't rode none, and I just got those couple little practices. I come into that loop section, and I don't know what happened, but I crashed, flew off the bike, so I lost that. It took me a minute. That hybrid's kickstart, it flipped every end that it could. Tried to get off, straighten everything back up, finished last. Went out for the second qualifier, pulled the start. I pulled probably a 5-10 second lead. Well, not a 5-second lead the first 2 laps. And come into that loop section again and hit the last one. There's the last loop, and then there was a turn about 50 yards away from it. And I rode on the front tires all the way through that turn and wrecked again. And I did the same thing, the bike rolled over and over. Got back on and finished last in that one, but all those races they were for gate pick. I didn't think that I had a shot at the main just because it's 10 laps.
Right.
Well, I pulled the start again in the main.
Oh.
And, I pulled probably a 5-10 second lead the first 5 laps, and literally I was so dang tired because I was going as fast as I could. I knew I couldn't win for 10 laps. Well, I pulled a good lead, and luckily, by the time Jeff Piercelli caught me, he got tired too.
Oh.
So we was both going around there just hanging off the side of them bikes. We was both dying, and luckily, him trying to catch me, he got too tired to pass me. So he fell backwards after this point. He was done tired too. So he fell back, and Mark Metal passed him, and Mark don't get tired. And it was like the ninth, it was either the last lap or the one before he got right on me and rode around behind me. And luckily, I finished that race in the front, and in all my races, I've never been so happy. That was the probably happiest race I've ever raced was winning that SSQSA race.
I can imagine, man. And that had to do nothing but spark the fever, man. I mean, that just really had to ignite it for you at that point.
Yeah, and not only for me, for Mike Walsh. I don't think I've ever seen that guy so happy. It's the first race the Walsh hybrid had ever been in, and it was a guy that hadn't rode on a track in over a year. A year and a couple months. And I went out there and won on it, and I was pumped. Honestly, I've never been that happy.
Wow. So, man, I can only imagine, man. So that got everybody's juices flowing, and that's kind of what led into 2012 then, I guess, huh?
Yeah, and then, after that, I come back home that weekend, and I went back to work, and I worked a couple weeks, and Mike called me, and he was like, you know what, you want to come race this next SSQSA? And I was like, yeah, I'd like to do that. So I went down there, and like I said, it was the 2 3-lap motos and 1 10-lap moto. And that's when Chad Weenan, I guess, started back up. I don't know if it was the second or third one. But he started back riding, so he started coming and racing those things. And, I don't know if he's listening, but they had, the 2 3-lap motos, 1 10-lap moto. The rest of the season, Chad was in on Jeffrey, Mark. I never lost one of those 3-lap motos. I won every one of them. Just because I'm good at starts, and I'm good for 3 laps. I can fly for 3 laps. But I never won one of those 10-lap motos. Weenan caught me every time and passed me. And, I wrecked in a couple of them. But, it was just the point. I was happy enough off those 3-lap motos. I really didn't care on the 10-lap one. I put everything I had to into it. But, there's just no way I could win. I wasn't practicing at home or nothing. I was still just about as safe as I was. But, that's when Mike realized, I still got the speed. If we put a little bit of effort into it, maybe I could come out and win Pro-Am. So, the hybrid, it can only race in Pro-Am, so that's what we did.
Wow. And, man, that machine, from what I understand, man, that thing has taken off for Mike. There's a lot of people that is out and about in the ATV racing community, not the Nationals per se, but, just out in the ATV racing world itself, man. Those things are becoming pretty popular, I guess.
Yeah, I would hope so. You know, we brought it out this first year, and I mean, literally, I won every race that it didn't break. You know, and the times that it did break, it wasn't nothing serious. You know, we had the stator go bad on the line, one moto, and that was at, I think, Bud's Creek's where that happened. Stator went out on the line, I lost that moto, won the main, and then at High Point, I went out there and I led every lap. And literally, I was probably 100 yards from the finish line, maybe 200, and the chain popped off.
Oh,
But other than that, we won every race.
wow. That's pretty impressive stuff there, man. I mean, you got to be pretty satisfied with that. So you got yourself a pretty cool thing going on with what I think is basically the start of something new, especially if things lean back in that direction. You know, I mean, you've got a head start above everybody right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we were all hoping for. You know, it was, at the moment, like when we started, I had no plans to race the year after. You know, it was just I wanted, Max, he is one of my best friends. He's always helped me out. You know, I just wanted to promote that hybrid, and I think I did a pretty good job of it. And, all year, I just, there's a couple races, or one or two, that I pulled the fastest lap all weekend. That's what kind of told me, it'd be dumb if I can go that fast. I'm not saying I'm faster than Joel Hetrick or John Natale. But, even if I can go close to the same speed as him, within, even if you put 5 seconds in it, 5 seconds off the best four-wheeler riders in the whole world, why wouldn't you keep racing? It don't make a whole lot of sense. I'm just somebody from, like you said, Englewood, Tennessee. We only have one local track within 60 miles from here. Motocross ain't really a big thing around here. For me to be able to do what I did, I didn't ride when I was younger. I didn't ride on a motocross track when I was younger. And for me to learn it this quick, I was still getting better even when I quit. I had a bad year. I broke a couple bones. But, I always got better until I got hurt that year.
Wow. That's good, and I guess you got better again this year. I mean, honestly, I seen a lot of maturity. I mean, and you probably felt it too, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of Mike's big things that he noticed. I only wrecked at the Nationals. I think I come off the bike 2 times, and it was in time qualifying both times. And, they weren't bad wrecks. I had a bad wreck at a local race up here near home. Like, I raced a local race in between the races.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like a, it's kind of embarrassing. It's just out there, I was by myself, and they had these 2 doubles that run along the creek. And the first one comes right out of a turn, and I come off of it sideways. And then that bike swapped, and I hit the next one, and it's like an 8-foot drop off into like a 4-foot deep creek.
Mm.
And I went straight off into it on my head. Like, Mike underwater, me underwater.
Wow.
Pretty scary wreck. And it was at nighttime. There wasn't no lights down there, so it's pitch black dark.
Wow.
I don't like snakes, so I thought I was going to get bit.
Not a snake person. I'm not a fan of snakes either, man. I can't blame you. So would you say that would be the freakiest wreck you ever had?
Yeah, I mean,
other than the one, obviously, that you took whenever you were 14 or 15 years old. I mean, would you? I mean, because I've talked to people, man. I mean, people have run off the track, got pinned under their quad in a creek, or in a mud hole, or something crazy like that. You ever have anything like that happen?
No, I think just the creek one was really the only one I've ever jumped in the water. I mean, obviously I've had a bunch of bad wrecks. Like,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of bad wrecks. That 08 and 09 season, like I at least wrecked once a weekend. I mean, it was a guaranteed I was going to wreck sometime or another.
Well, that's great. Well, man, I got a couple of questions here leading up to, well, questions that I think we kind of already covered a little bit. But at the same time, we'll go ahead and ask him. I want to thank Rob Ert out of Connecticut. He races up in the NAATV, and he races in the B class. And he wants me to ask CG40 if you will race pro next year. I know that's been the big question for a lot of people. Are you going to race pro? Or are you going to hang back? You're going to race pro-am? I know we've kind of dabbled and talked a little bit about that, but let's answer it straight out like that.
Yeah, I mean, if we get the help that we need, definitely. I want to be there, so, that's a given.
Okay. So, that's pretty obvious. That's what we want, and I think that's what people wanted to hear, the for sure thing. And speaking of, if we can get it together, I know that I had talked with Andrew kind of briefly there, and he'd mentioned that they're working on some stuff with you. So, and you mentioned it there earlier, Mike Walsh and Andrew Vogt working together to try to put together something. And from what I understand, Andrew right now has got already, I think, 6 confirmed riders on his team. So it sounds like a team is being built there right now.
Yeah, I've not really got the details on any of that. I'm not sure.
I probably just told you something you didn't know, didn't I?
Yeah, definitely just filled me in on something. I'm really not sure about that.
Yeah. Well, that's a positive for you, man, because if there's a team being built, and I would imagine, he didn't come out and say that's who we're building the team around, but it sounds to me like that, he didn't say it was you, but he did say there was a couple of pro riders involved there, and there was some insinuations of you, but it didn't ever come out there. So anyway, there is some rumblings going on there. Another question that I've got here right now is that Jimmy Reese out of Indiana, he wants to know, he says here that he heard that Kawasaki has or is beginning to or going to begin their, production, is what he's trying to say here, in the near future, and that you and Josh Creamer are going to be racing a team next year for Kawasaki.
Well, to be dead honest, that Kawasaki year was, as far as money, everything, that was probably the best year that we've ever had, as far as, not having to worry about bills. I would love to see the factories come back. But as of right now, no, that's not, that's not even in the equation.
Okay. and I heard some other names in there too, another name, but I'll leave that one for him. I don't want to rock any boats for that particular individual, but it was kind of funny, man. I heard the I was like, really? But if anything is true out of that rumor, as much as anything, I hope they have began production. And if that's the case, if they've got all the things figured out that they needed to get figured out for emissions and stuff like that, that would be a good sign for the ATVing community all around, not just racing, but just ATVing in general, I think, and that would be a big boost. So there is at least no truth to the rumor that Cody Gibson is going to be racing with Team Kawasaki next year. That's always good to know. All right. And
but if it was, I hope Josh Creamer or somebody that he talks to is listening, because me and that dude, we got like a rival. Like, I would love to smoke that dude. It'd be hard to do. He's a beast, but that's what he always tells me when he comes on the track. He would have smoked me if I'd have been out there. So if that would happen, I would smoke that dude for sure.
So Josh, say it at Unadilla, Redbud, and Loretta's, he's looking at you saying, I'd have smoked you?
Oh, yeah. Like when he come out for time qualifying, at a couple of them, one of them, he pulled a faster lap than me in qualifying. I think just that one, though. And, I never got to say to him back. He left too early at Loretta's, but I think I told him that the one before. But, yeah, I can't let that dude go faster than me.
That's good, man.
But I don't know if I don't know if Joel Hetrick's listening, but he's trying to call me right now. So if he is, he needs to get on here.
Yeah, he's got the info.
There by himself.
Yeah, he's got the info on how to get on here. Maybe he don't know we're still on here, but that's funny. So you and Josh, I take it, have got a pretty good relationship as far as that goes?
Yeah. It ain't nothing serious. I was just joking. But
oh, no, I know.
He always tells me when he comes off the track.
That's funny. It's not like you're Chad Weenan and John Natale or anything.
No. I don't think I really have any rivals like that.
That's good, man.
I think I'm pretty well friends with everybody that's at the motocross track.
Yeah, that's good, and I've noticed that. You know, I had a show earlier, well, actually from Loretta Lynn's the Wednesday before the Dirt Days down there, and I had Kyle Fix, Dalton Milliken, I believe, let's see who else was on there. I can't think of, I think Tyler Hamrick was on there, and there was another couple of guys that were there with us as well. But, man, what a those guys respect you, man. I mean, it's funny. They, you know how you made the statement, they feel like, you know, you're not going to win if you don't feel like you're going to win. Well, they beat themselves before they go to the line because they all say they basically race for second out there. They raced for second this past year.
Well, I mean, I understand that. You know, I guess that's kind of what I was worried about. You know, nobody else was really worried about. I didn't want everybody to hate me because, you know, I come back to racing and I'm running Pro-Am. But, you know, that was the only, like I told everybody this whole year, I wouldn't even been back if it wouldn't have been for that Walsh hybrid. And you can't run the hybrid in the Pro class. So the only other option we had was to run Pro-Am. And, you know, I like all those guys. I really didn't know, I didn't know Kyle Fix at all before this year. You know, I've heard of him, but I'd never talked to him. And, you know, I made a bunch of new friends this year. You know, I could tell, you know, halfway through the season or a quarter of the way through the season, I could tell some of the fans that I used to have, you know, it just started cheering for other riders. You know, they wanted to see somebody else win, but that's completely understandable. You know, even though they wanted it, I couldn't let nobody else win. You know, I had to do what I did and keep winning whether people liked it or not. You know, I wanted to be able to do it the next year. You know, halfway through the season, that's what I'm saying. I done realize, you know, if I'm this good, I need to try to make it back up to the pro ranks. So I did the best I could all year.
Wow. Now, let's talk about this year as far as the competition, man. I mean, yeah, you ran like greased lightning. I mean, those guys knew it. I mean, and honestly, and I told these guys this, I think that as tough as it was for them from a standpoint of knowing that they had to race against someone with, you know, your kind of talents there in that Pro-Am class, they actually, it might have been something that did something better for them because I think they all approached it positively because they knew going in that you were going to win, but I think each one of them dug a little deeper than they might have had you not been in that class this year.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. You know, as much as some of them probably didn't like it, of course, you know, they want to win, but, you know, if I wouldn't, I'm not putting credit to myself, but, you know, if I wouldn't have been there, there's no way those guys would have been going as fast as they were at Loretta's. You know, like, Kyle Fix was rolling at Loretta's. He was flying. Moser had a little bad luck, but the race before he was flying, you know, those guys were going fast. Casey Martin, at the first this year, I don't know if you remember, they on a pass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't even know how I was going to do it. I come out and absolutely killed everybody. And then by the third or fourth race, we come to a rough track, and Casey Martin stepped his game up from, you know, it's pretty much, you know, the way it looked. He came from the B class up to the Pro-Am. You know, he stepped his game up completely. And, you know, there was a few races he pushed me around the tracks. You know, the rough tracks, you know, he's a bigger dude. And I was going as fast as I could. And, you know, he kept right up with me. And at Sunset Ridge, he played it smart and got right behind me. And he made me so dang tired. Just like I said, you know, I'd never practiced or anything. And I never really had to worry about it because, you know, I poured such a big lead first couple laps. I could cruise the rest of the race. But against, how I do, and he rode as hard as he could tired, and there was nothing I could do. He went right around me. But luckily, he finished back the first moto, so I still got the overall and got to win all the production races. But, I mean, like you said, those guys definitely, they had to step it up. They couldn't just let me keep doing what I was doing. And, I mean, I noticed that all year long. Most of those guys get to practice, and so I pretty much stayed the same all year, and every one of them got better. I mean, I've seen it every race. They all got better.
Yep. That's a good sign for what the future holds for that pro class, man. I'm hoping that all you guys can make that transition here in the next couple of years, and we'll have a good, healthy pro class, because if we can get the kind of competition we're seeing right now in both the Pro-Am and the pro class all combined together, man, I mean, we would have – I mean, you wouldn't be able not to watch ATV motocross.
No, and I mean, that's what we need. We need every class to be closer together. The pro class, those guys are awesome. They're unreal fast, but, at the end of the race, it gets, I'm not saying boring, but, they spread out so much. And, it'd be good if we could get everybody to start running together.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to slow down, obviously, but it would be awesome if, everybody got to train and, got up to speed, and, the sport would grow, obviously, if everybody started racing together in every class. If you went out to the track and just immediately looked at the track, there's battles going on everywhere, that would be awesome.
Yep. All right, Cody, it's getting close to that. Well, it is 10 o'clock, moving up on 10 o'clock, so I'm going to ask a couple more questions. My question for you is most memorable moment
this year?
Of all time.
You put me on the spot. I guess me and Thomas Brown racing at Redbud, because everybody talks about it, so I have to remember about it. But that year, I think it was 08 when I was on the Suzuki the first year for Mike. Me and him had a killer race there. Like, it was the same way. He's good on rough tracks, I was good on smooth tracks. We went there, and I pulled the start, pulled a good little lead, like halfway through that race, he caught me, and we raced for about 5 laps. I'm talking, he was beating the back of my four-wheeler down, and that was a pretty good race. I mean, I always remember that.
Wow. Now, another question that I have, looking back on your short, I mean, it has been a relatively short career as far as racing. I mean, you're looking at a grand total of, 7 years maybe total that you've been involved in it?
Something like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you even, you skipped your senior year, you were homeschooled your senior year and dedicated your entire life to ATV motocross. Even with that and everything in combined, I mean, looking back to the time that you opened your first ATV magazine laying there in the hospital and read Doug Gust's name, do you have any regrets?
No. I mean, I had a blast. Like, some of my best friends come from this. I mean, they know everybody where I live. They know me as the person that races four-wheelers. I mean, I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't have a big truck. I don't have any regrets. I'd do it all the same. I wouldn't broke my collarbone that one year. I would have missed the hay bale, but other than that, I don't have any regrets.
Wow, that's good. That is good to know. Now, let me ask you this question right here. How do you want to be remembered as far as ATV motocross and ATVing in general is concerned?
I mean, obviously, I'd like to be remembered as a guy that won the pro class, but, I'd like to be remembered, somebody, I got a good personality. I'd like all the kids to look up to me. Obviously, I love all the fans. I love people cheering for us going around the track, so, I mean, I like people looking up to me. I'd like people to remember me as a nice guy. Even when I got to the pro class, I'm still all over the place talking to everybody.
And, well, Cody, I tell you, man, I think that you're well on your way to doing that. You left a very big impression in me. I know that your personality, I mean, just everything about you is just remarkable. You're a great individual to be around, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us and open up with us like this on on Quad Radio Live tonight. I know whenever I asked you there about an hour before the show began, I said, anything you want to talk about or not talk about? You said, man, I'm open to anything. It's an open book, and I appreciate that, man. You've been straight up, forward, and honest with us, and I really appreciate that. Now, is there anything that you want to pass along out there to the folks listening in Quad Radio Land?
I mean, I appreciate everybody that tuned in, listened to me talk, and, just thanks for everybody that cheered for me all year, if any of y'all was on there, and that's pretty much it. I appreciate everybody.
And I'm sure, those sponsors that helped you out this year, you'd like to give them a shout-out. Take the opportunity here if you'd like to.
Yeah, I don't have my bike here, but definitely Walsh H-Craft, Scott Ward. I definitely couldn't have done it without those two, and just Max's Tires, Fox Shocks, BWT, just all my sponsors that helped this year. I really do appreciate it. Rip It Up Films. Just everybody that helped. My girl, Lindsay, my mom, my little brother, Dalton, everybody, all my friends that come this year to watch me race, and like I said, all the fans that cheered for us this year. I really appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Cody, and everything that you've brought to ATV Motocross. Thank you so very, very much. And I also want to say thanks to our friends at Impact Solutions, ATV.com. Once again, your authorized factory suspension center for Elko Suspension, located over there in Parkersburg, West Virginia, 985 I believe that's Harris Highway. I'll look back there again. But, Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia. And those of you listening in will have, if you just joined us, we're going to have the replay. It'll be back up and running here in just a few moments. I think you should be able to listen to it on Ustream itself. And we'll also have things up on YouTube here in just a little bit. I also want to say thanks to our friends at SSI Decals for the